Good morning. It's 8:30. Oh, yikes, it's 8:31. I'm a minute late. My wife is getting the dog ready. He's got to go to the vet this morning. So, yeah. Hey, anyway, good morning, everybody. I did do a post yesterday, and so far, what I wanted to do was schedule one of these to see if people would jump on at a particular time. And the problem is I've got a really good business coach right now, and she's doing her own live. And I think any of the people that were going to be here are probably over there. So, good morning, Tina. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I've actually just got started. So, um, basically, I just have some casual thoughts about something I was reading yesterday morning. I have to get up in the morning and take a couple of pills before I can eat, and so sometimes I'll get up and start moving around, get the coffee ready early and everything, and other days I just kind of lay in bed and do start my 30 minutes of reading early before I get up because I just don't feel like moving yet. And I was doing that yesterday morning, and I turned the page and came up with a good morning, Lauren. Hey, how you doing? Okay, I'm actually taking questions today too. By the way, I'm going to talk a little bit longer. So, but squirrel moment there. I was in the middle of something. Yeah, I was reading this book, and actually, I'd like to cite it because it's really good. I was suggested to me by somebody. It's called the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, or Cardone. I don't know how you say his last name, but basically, the underlying theme of the whole book is making 10 times as much effort as you normally would to do something, because basically swinging big gets you the result that you want, and actually more than you were expecting. And I guess that's kind of encapsulate that in a quick couple of sentences. That's the best I can do. But I turned the page. Yeah, I know it's good, isn't it? So I was turning the last couple of pages in a chapter, and I popped up on this one. Now, keep in mind, I'm still just kind of waking up, but basically I've been conscious for about 5 minutes. And the header of a chapter says, obsession is not a disease, it is a gift. And I was like, wow, right there, I'm awake. Bam, it just pow. It's like, you know what? Right away, I actually set the book down and started thinking about how the times of my life where that was actually the case. And I'm going to share something with you because I think it's got a pretty good business corollary. Basically, you can do anything that you want to do in this life if you're willing to put enough effort into it. Imagine yourself doing it, see yourself doing it, feel the feelings of having accomplished it already, and then take massive action toward it. And that's the other thing about Grant's book that he's real big on. There's 4 levels of action. Massive action is the one that gets things done. So, obsession. Coming up in about the 1/3 point of this is actually very appropriate because it's really how I've made the biggest strides in my own life. You're just absolutely refusing to lose, not allowing anything to get in my way. And I'm going to give you an example that isn't business, but so many years ago, I decided to join the Army. And it's simply because my first wife had left me and I wasn't paying child support for a little while. And I wanted to get that caught up and kind of get my life back together. And I discovered something about military services. They love to make you run and run and run and run and run. So run I did. And I was in a combat arms job. I actually blew things up from a distance with binoculars and a map. And point being here is I did a lot of running in my 20s in the 4 years that I served. And my adult daughter, Christmas Day, we were talking on the phone about, well, I'm going to tell you, it was 2012, so 7 years ago. And she said she had entered the Missoula Half Marathon, and it was a big deal, and a lot of people, and it's very fun. And she said, you should do that. And I think she was kind of teasing me, but I was like, well, I used to run 15 miles all the time. Of course, it was like 25 years ago, but I got to thinking I got 7 months to get ready for it, so I did it. And what happened was I basically got obsessed with it. In other words, with trying to beat little personal bests as time went on, and doing the best I could to beat certain times. I was basically competing against myself, and I discovered something that I actually loved being able to do it, first thing. But as you continue to work through the aches and pains and make pass the small milestones and everything, you actually find that, well, let me say for myself, shouldn't be speaking for other people, but I found that it was a contemplative time in my life. In other words, going out and running 6 miles or 12 miles and spending an hour or two out on the trail by myself, it was a time for my mind to basically be my friend and have internal conversations with myself, and you do some deep contemplative thinking, and some of the best ideas I've had. A couple of songs I've written, the business that I started that is now Owings Tax and Accounting, and all these things started as a thought that I had while I was running. So this is a thing that's a very big part of my life, but it started with an obsession. I turned myself into a middle-aged endurance athlete. And I did this because I just absolutely refused to not do it. If you know anything about running or have friends that run and they train for anything longer than a 5K, then you might be aware of the fact that there are certain things that you do during a week, and especially for the half marathon or full marathons or anything longer than that, you want to put in one long run a week. You basically train your body to burn fat for fuel by doing that, but also the whole endurance component. And I can say with some pride that I have never walked any part of any race I ever entered. So, it's taking the training seriously is a matter of being obsessed with it to a certain degree. But I think I had said something in my post. Yeah, I did. Why obsession gets a bad rap. In other words, what's up with that? I mean, people will say something, well, you're obsessed. You should be taking time to do this. How come you never sit around and watch movies with me anymore, or that kind of thing, or this and that? And the answer to that, I think deep down, there is a matter of degree in anything. And I believe that obsession has a matter of degree that can be unhealthy. And I can think of a pretty good example. If you fall in love with somebody that doesn't feel the same way back, I would say the kids, but heck, I'm not a kid, and I've had this happen. Call it stalker syndrome. If anybody's ever had a stalker boy or a stalker girl, it's can be a little amusing, or it can be sometimes even dangerous, and that level of obsession is not a good thing. And I think that's why the concept of obsession itself gets a bad reputation. So, I wanted to touch on that, but let's put that aside, because I think a certain amount of healthy obsession is actually the way things get done. And if you ever had a desire, thinking to yourself that I'd like to do something that really changes the world, I think the people that are obsessed with that change are the ones that make it happen. So I want to actually, let me scroll back in here a little bit. Let me see if anybody. Lauren says, I think there's a lot of value in training in an endurance sport when it comes to mindset, especially for growing a business. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There is a direct allegory in my mind, because I think each of those two things take a certain amount of faith. And if you're not familiar with it, Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote about you don't need to see the whole staircase in faith, just take the first step. But the thing is, you have to continue to have the will to climb, okay? And it's the same thing in endurance sports and in business. So yeah, good point. I'm glad you said that. That's awesome. So stalker status. That's funny, Alyssa. Yeah, I was just watching her, and I thought you had all my audience. So I'm really happy you're here. That's great. So why obsession is becoming a part of my accounting business. Because basically, I said something earlier, and I actually got this, and I generally don't like rap music because I grew up in the '70s and actually listened to '60s music when it was new, which is, I'm talking about Motown, Smokey Robinson. There was melody and harmony and all kinds of beautiful things. The Diana Ross and the Supremes, and then as I got a little bit older and people turned me on to groups like Led Zeppelin and Grand Funk, Deep Purple, and I started listening to Yes and all those things because it was just the soundtrack of my early life. And, rap came along at a time where I can understand why young people that grew up with it like it. And there's a lot of humor in a lot of it. But I have trouble. Oh, that's funny. I had a scroll moment there. Um, But there is this one rap artist named Busta Rhymes, and he's actually been in a couple of movies too. And there's this album that a buddy of mine used to listen to. It was actually so funny that I would listen to it with him. And he has this one thing about "I refuse to lose," and it's stuck in my head. And there's a thing that I think about that once in a while because it's funny, and I like the humor aspect of music as well. If anybody's ever heard of Frank Zappa, or even on another scale, Weird Al Yankovic, this is still music, but it's also very entertaining and humorous. And I find some rap like that too, so I'll have that thought once in a while, but it's actually something that is very valuable when you're working a business. Just refuse to lose. It's catchy. It's got a little rhyme in it, but there just is no failure, And yeah, so obsession is healthy and it's a good thing as long as you're using your powers for good and not evil. And I guess that's what I had to say about that. And I just want to say hi to some people. It's so awesome. This is like really well. Yeah, Rick, hey man. Old friend of mine I used to be in a band with out in California. Lauren, of course, appreciate you helping me out here. Alyssa, you're the bomb. Julie Walney, hello, how are you doing? Let me send you a wave. Just going to get interactive here. This is kind of fun. Another thing, guys, is that if I am going to spend more than 5 minutes talking, I will say something about the day before, so you actually have time if you want to do this. And if you jump out, that's cool. I do it too, even to the people that I think are thought leaders, because I got other things to do. And that's another thing about obsession is, here's a way that you can channel that. Okay, kind of jumping around a little bit here. If I had grown up 20 years later, I would have been diagnosed with ADHD. I'm certain of it, but they didn't know that term back when I was a kid. So yeah, but and I was just had this great thought, told you that, and it went out of my head. So let's not worry about it. Oh, I know what it was. Here's a way to channel your obsession in a healthy way. I got a little piece of information in an early coaching program I had done that actually wasn't a very good value, and it was a long time ago, about 7-8 years ago. But there was one chapter in one of the modules about setting priorities in a list, and I got the idea. And I wish I could screen share on my phone, but I don't really need to. Imagine a Microsoft Excel workbook. So you can like do columns, okay? So make a column with letters in it, A, B, C, D, and then make a skinny column next to it with numbers in it, 1 through 10 or whatever. And then your third column is your wide column, and that's your task list, okay? And then another skinny column to put an X in when you finish stuff. This is how I keep my crap together with basically multiple clients. What this list does is you put all your stuff at the top, and then the things that you want to get to but might not, put them down in the B category and then number them down there. Okay? But the things that have to get done in the day you're doing them, leave those up in the A category, and then C is for like the, I'll get to it if I can kind of stuff, and I rarely use that, to be honest with you, but Here's the thing is that if your priority changes during the day, you can actually use the sort function of Microsoft Excel and move everything around. But what this does for you, it gives you an opportunity to see everything that you've got to do. And also you get that warm fuzzy from checking things off a list. I'm getting shit done here, getting shit done, you know? So it's been an invaluable tool for me. That one takeaway kind of was a silver lining, and otherwise kind of a dark chapter in somebody taking my money past. But you go through some experiences to get to the people that are able to help you the most, and I'm very blessed right now, actually. And yeah, I'm looking at somebody's name. You're still hanging in there with me. I don't know what I did without you. It's the rest of my life is going to be amazing. But let me stop there on that, not get too mushy. To wrap up on obsession, then. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. One last thing about the list. A final thing that you can do is when you're making that list, do it the night before. Now, why do you do that? Because if you have what you have to do the next day in the subconscious layer of your mind, the place where you're not, solving problems or getting tasks done, and you go to bed on that, then you wake up in the morning with more focus. Now, I'm not perfect at it, I promise you, and I'm always going to need help, but if that can help anybody at all, even one of you, then I'm happy to share it. So, and that's kind of ties in with the whole obsession thing too. So, yeah, does anybody want to ask something? I was going to give this 20 to 30 minutes. So if you've got a question, I'm going to read what Lauren wrote here because it looks like more than a paragraph and interesting. I can't see the Seymour. Oh, there y'all are. Okay, so I find it so ironic that you're talking about this today, as I just read that in Grant's book. Yeah, well, we're reading the same book, and that's awesome. And I got all fired up about it. Obsession on healthy, worthwhile things are how shit gets done. Obsession on unhealthy things is destructive and causes problems. Anyway, shutting up now. No, talk all you want, please. I appreciate the help. And you're exactly right. Exactly right. I think anything taken to an unhealthy degree as unhealthy, kind of a no-brainer statement right there. I wonder if you can even do that in the English language, but I just did, so. But we're just talking here, right? So, yeah. And I am thinking now that I'm addressing a certain specific audience, and it's starting to grow a little bit, for which I've got a lot of gratitude. I have real estate professionals in my life because of personal interactions, but also because I chose to learn as much as possible about what you people do, and get specific about how I can help you, basically, as an accountant. Now, I basically wear two hats, and I put on a third one earlier this year. I am an accountant level bookkeeper, okay, which means I've actually gone to smart school and learned how to be an accountant. But I also am a tax professional, and I was an RTRP back in 2012, but they took that away a couple years later. And the third hat that I've put on more recently in February is and in fact, I was actually done with it in November, but the government shutdown slowed down the approval process. I'm now an enrolled agent, and what this basically means is enrolled to represent clients before the IRS, and so I can do tax debt resolutions for you if you need to, but also, and the thing that my current clients like the most is that if they get a nasty gram of the IRS and I've already got a power of attorney with them, I get a copy of their letter without them having to send it to me. And if they need me to make the phone call, I can do it for them because basically EAs and CPAs can do that. So it's just kind of a little extra bonus thing I'm able to add to my services. And as far as real estate agents go, well, basically you got money in, money out. There's several things that you guys do. The big one everybody thinks of first, of course, is sales and, taking your revenue with commissions. But are you writing off every single deduction you possibly can? And see, that's the thing that I got obsessed with, is how can I find out exactly what real estate professionals' pain points are here in terms of their taxes. And there's two things I'm able to do for you folks. And one is that I actually sat down and made a list and interviewed a couple of close friends of mine to find out as much as possible what the specific real estate deductions are. And I put together a little book. And it's just kind of like a 30-minute read. I think it's 29 pages long, but I put a couple of appendices in the back of it, attachments, if you will. And one of them is a really cool income tracking tool with some locked formula cells in it. And if you want a free copy of it, say free copy or something, and I'll hook you up. So, but the thing that I am getting to here is that, okay, train of thought thing again, but that's fine, because helping real estate agents with that particular level of information is one of the things that I really want to be able to show people, and then to take that to the next level and also educate myself as much as possible on some of the other little weird things about real estate. Real estate accounting's got a lot of little nuanced stuff that I don't have to do most days. Things like timeshare, revenue splitting, and stuff like that. It's just, fortunately, it doesn't come up very often. But some folks out there, and this is a big thing, and I'm going to leave on this. I know we're supposed to, I'm obsessed about this topic, so I'm going to use that as my excuse to shoehorn it in here. But there is a part of the tax code, and you folks that have rental real estate, whether you're running a business and have a flow-through entity, or whether you just got a couple of houses you're renting or whatever, there is some very specific steps you can take to get the 20% qualified business income deduction, or QBI deduction, from that activity. The main thing you got to keep in your head is that you don't want to intermingle it with any of your other business activities and put it all on the same Schedule C or 1065. In other words, basically you want to segregate it, make it its own entity, and then you get the QBI deduction. And that's what I've been obsessed with in 2019, is understanding it to the best of my ability and getting people that 20% off, because it's really easy to miss, and it's even easier to screw up. So this is something, you can do it on TurboTax yourself, and people tell me, oh, taxes are easy, it's software. Okay, well, let me share something with you. The tax code, I was watching a CNBC episode one time, and stacked up, it's like this high from the floor. It's 10 times more voluminous than the works of Shakespeare. And I'm not saying I've got it all memorized, but I am saying that I'm trained to know where to look things up in it, and most lay people aren't. The typical lay person spends 13 hours a year on their taxes. So what do you do for 13 hours? And how much money do you make an hour? Can you afford to do that? It's actually not only probably cheaper for you to hire a professional, but it's also probably going to make you more money, because a professional is going to find things you don't know about. So now I'm getting close to my 30 minutes. Nobody's asking any questions, so I think at this point I'm going to quit torturing you guys. But you've been awesome. The several of you that hung in there with me. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff down here. Oh, good question down here. This might be a dumb question, but is having an EA a good thing for every business owner, or are EAs more valuable in specialized cases? I am going to answer this. It's great to have an EA as a regular business owner if you're going to have tax issues. And people come to me with that because they see the letters at the end of my name. Because waiting on hold for the IRS and knowing exactly what to say when they finally answer is something that stresses most people out tremendously. So In that case, I would say yes, absolutely, it is a good thing. But if you're the kind of person that doesn't need that level of help, not necessarily. But I'm going to add to that people will come to me and they'll say, "Yeah, I just need to hire a good CPA," and I'm going to come clean. I am not a certified professional accountant, but I don't need to be able to provide the level of service that I provide for people. Um, and a good what they call a full charge bookkeeper, which is one that can go through the entire month's accounting cycle and create financial reports, generally is sufficient for small business people. You really don't need a CPA, but people will hire one anyway, thinking that they need one because basically they believe they're going to save more money. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Tammy. Yeah, you rock too. Really appreciate that. Now, the specialized cases, Lauren, let me touch on that real quick. There are folks who, and just good people that got in bad situations. You get behind on your taxes, you realize you haven't paid them for a while, and all of a sudden you start getting these ugly letters. And I don't want to get into too much detail about what that can be, but you see stuff like notice of intent to levy or lien, and it's like time to freak out. And the next thing you do is you're like looking for somebody to help you with that. Now that's when you want to hire somebody like me, okay? Because basically we can interpret those letters for you, make those calls for you, and find out exactly what's going on, because I'm going to share something with you. And I'm actually, you find this stuff out as you go along, especially in the post TCJA or Tax Cuts and Jobs Act world, is that the various departments of the Internal Revenue Service aren't always perfectly exact about communicating with each other. And sometimes one department will send out letters when someone else already knows something about your case that's a little bit contrary. So that's where you do want a good professional when you have a situation like that. So I hope that answered that. And hey, Alyssa, thank you. I'll see you later. Yeah, it's good to see you too. So, as a matter of fact, I'm going to jump off now. We're coming up on 30 minutes. So, any other quick questions? And I'm going to scroll through. Hi, Diana. Clarence, hey, man, thanks for joining. Let's see. Ed, the Shadow Man, how you doing? And Mike, how's it going? And Tammy, appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, guys. Nobody's asking anything new, so I think I am going to go ahead and sign off and kind of keep a promise and keep this under 30 minutes. So this is fun, and hopefully the squirrel moments didn't drive you guys too crazy. I'm still kind of getting better at talking to a camera, so in fact, I'm probably looking down instead of at you, so let me do that as I sign off, okay? I do want to wish all you guys an amazing day and an amazing November. 2 months left to go to kill it in our revenues and finances. And as always, I wish you an amazing day full of abundance, joy, peace, and love. And I will see you soon. Have a great weekend. Bye, everybody.